Red Bull driver Sergio Perez is filled with optimism as he looks ahead to his home Grand Prix in Mexico. But, that being said, he is disappointed at Red Bull for a misstep in their strategy during the last race. The Mexican driver isn't having anything short of excellent as he feels that his career's fate is on the line next race, as the rumours suggest. Let's have a look into the mind of Checo heading into Sunday in today's video. Perez's improved spirits come on the heels of his 4th place finish at the United States Grand Prix. When discussing the upcoming Mexican Grand Prix, Perez underscored its importance, saying, "It's my most important weekend coming up. I'm really looking forward to it." Perez's positive outlook for the race in his home country is buoyed by his strong showing at the Circuit of the Americas. He added that, "At times I had very good pace, but we're still lacking that consistency. I think we know what we did wrong on the weekend, so we're really optimistic going into future races. Hopefully, we can improve that." When questioned about whether he's getting more comfortable with his RB19, the Mexican driver responded, saying, "Yes, I am. I think we did very good steps. Unfortunately, we didn't get to show it because we took a bit of a wrong direction on the setup, given that it was a sprint race. But I'm still very optimistic for Mexico. We know what direction we need to take, so hopefully we get to show that." While it's good that Sergio Perez is in high spirits, he may want to hold off on his smile, because word on the street, within the F1 paddock, has it that there's some pressure on him to secure the 2nd spot in the Drivers' Championship if he wants to hang on to his Red Bull seat. This tidbit was dropped by Sky's Ted Kravitz following the United States Grand Prix, conveniently right before F1 gears up for Perez's home race in Mexico. Down in Texas, the Red Bull driver who's been feeling the heat managed to secure a 5th place finish, while his teammate Max Verstappen continued his winning streak. At first, it looked like his hold on the 2nd spot in the standings was loosening, especially with Lewis Hamilton's podium finish. Fortunately, things took a turn for the better when Hamilton was later disqualified, much to Perez's considerable relief. According to Kravitz, Perez's situation is as follows. There is a rumour around the place. If Checo does not manage to seal P2 in the Drivers' Championship, which is something Red Bull have never done, and something Christian Horner and Helmut Marko value very highly this year, then they'll have to have a serious think about whether Checo does stay within his contract next year. Or whether they have a proper conversation with Checo about whether he is able to improve next year. I'm not saying this is an ultimatum. I'm not saying Perez has a few races until the end of the season to wrap up P2 and secure his drive for next year. What I am saying is that Checo is under no illusions as to the importance of P2 in the championship. If he can keep getting the results in and pleasing his fans, that will please Red Bull too. Christian Horner has once again emphasised that there isn't a predefined requirement that would result in Sergio Perez losing his spot with Red Bull for the 2024 season if he fails to secure 2nd place in the F1 Drivers' Championship. The team principal said, "There's no pre-mandate like that. We've never finished 1st and 2nd in a championship. We finished 1st and 3rd a few times with Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel, and we did it last year with Max and Checo. With this car, it'll be fantastic for in such a season that we've had to finish it 1st and 2nd. But there's no pre-mandate on Checo that says you have to finish 2nd or you won't be driving the car next year. That's never been discussed." As we turn our gaze toward 2025, Horner openly admitted that Red Bull won't be lacking in potential choices, saying, "We're certainly not short of options for the 2025 seat. Of course, we've got plenty of time to look and evaluate that, but there are so many factors involved in that." During the United States Grand Prix, Sergio Perez achieved his most impressive performance since his 2nd place finish at Monza 4 races earlier. Someone who appears to have been especially pleased with the Mexican driver's performance might just be his toughest critic, Helmut Marko, who serves as Red Bull's technical advisor. Marko finally gave Perez his flowers, commenting on the Mexican's race in a positive tone for what feels like the first time in forever. While talking to Service TV, he said, "He had a very good race and drove on the same medium tyres as Max, was partially boxed in traffic. He had 2 very good races. Checo has to finish 1 or 2 races ahead of Hamilton and that would do it." Harnessing the support of the home crowd to deliver a strong performance at the Mexican Grand Prix has the potential to significantly alter the narrative, according to Chris Medland. Leading up to the USGP, Sergio Perez found himself under unwelcome scrutiny. Not only because of his recent performance, but also due to an unverified post on Reddit that suggested he might retire from Formula One at the conclusion of the season. The post indicated that the announcement of his retirement would be made in Mexico City during the upcoming weekend, potentially allowing Perez to receive a hero's farewell at his home race. This notion had some logic to it, to the extent that it prompted numerous individuals in the paddock to pose the question to Red Bull, and subsequently to Perez himself. "There's nothing I can do. I'm fully focused on my job," Perez said. "That really sums up my season. A guy says something about me and all of a sudden it becomes true. But I have a contract for next year and I have no reason to not fulfill that contract. I'm going to give my very best to it. I've made a commitment, but it will not be my final contract in Formula One. It's not ideal when you go through a difficult period of your career, but I just love the challenge of getting back at it. The easiest thing would be to just walk out of it, but that's not me. That's not who I am, and I will not give up. I have zero doubts about being back to my best level, and that is my only target that I have in mind. I don't even think about retirement or anything like that, because that's just the easy route." As of now, Perez holds the second position in the drivers' standings and enjoys a 39-point lead over Hamilton, but his recent performance has raised some doubts, and the pressure has been mounting with Daniel Ricciardo making a comeback to Red Bull's sister team, AlphaTauri. But then again, maybe he can cross Daniel Ricciardo off of his list of things to worry about. The Australian sensation had a challenging race after encountering debris early in the initial phases of the competition, which led him to have thoughts of retiring. In the early moments of the United States Grand Prix, Daniel Ricciardo contemplated pulling over and parking his AlphaTauri due to noticeable damage. This marked his return to racing after a hiatus of 5 races, necessitated by a hand injury he sustained during a practice session in the Dutch GP weekend. Ricciardo was seen facing challenges in using his right hand to exit his car after the sprint event on Saturday. This indicates that he has still been cautious and mindful of his hand fracture. In the early stages of the race, the Australian driver collected debris that became lodged in his front wing. Ricciardo mentioned to the media that the origin of this debris remains unknown, saying, "They, team, mentioned Stroll, and we were close, but don't think we touched. We must have picked up some debris somewhere, and that made our race pretty miserable, I won't lie. At best, we are a top 10 car, and when you put damage into it, we are certainly out of the points." Following several laps of struggling with his pace, Ricciardo considered retirement, but ultimately chose to continue after the team removed the lodged debris during his first pit stop. He concluded the race 1 lap behind and initially occupied the last position, which later turned into 15th after the disqualification of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. I was saying, "Guys, I can't really do anything," and kind of suggested, do we just box and call it a day or try to fix it and learn something? We got to a point where I said, "Okay, we'll try to at least see if we can fix it," and they tried to fix it. I don't know if it was front wing or brake ducts, but they put the soft on during pit stop and it was a bit better. So, how will the Mexican Grand Prix play out for Red Bull? Comment your predictions in the comments section down below. And, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.